American Airlines has a sale. Amex pulled transfer bonuses, a cheaper way to get to Necker Island, pets while traveling, and hating airport lounges. All of that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
They must not let tank tops in.
So happy Tuesday, Mark. How's life been?
It's hot. I mean, I don't know why you're wearing a sweatshirt when it's 90 something degrees there. It's going to be like 95, feel over 100 here, heat wave, and it looks like it stays in the 80s for a while. So we're going to be hotter than Vegas for a bit.
Yeah, 94 degrees here today, and for us, that's like winter weather.
Well, you got air conditioning, something Europeans are just figuring out is amazing as they're here in the U.S. And I think they're even talking about screens. The billionaire, if you guys own a screen company, move to Europe right now, you're going to be a billionaire by the end of next year.
And he's not talking about like phone screens. He's talking about screens for the windows, something that was invented hundreds of years ago.
Get them in there. Like, you don't need to live with bugs every time you wake up when it's hot out. I don't know. There was a good like a monologue. I think it was Bill Mayer that was like, we don't want to die in the middle of our houses, so we're okay with air conditioning or something on his recent episode. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw some crazy number, and I think it was like 175,000 heat-related deaths in Europe every year, most of them elderly and stuff like that. So it's actually a serious problem. Obviously, this time of year, it can be very dangerous, and the heat wave that they're going through. But a lot of people die just from being overheated in the summertime in Europe. And I think they said 20% of people in Europe have air conditioning compared to 90% in the US. So that is the big difference.
Yeah, I mean, you have walk-ups and all kinds of things there that probably get hot. And if you're elderly and you're working your way up there, and then heat rises, so the higher up you get, I'm sure it gets even warmer in those rooms. So it's kind of scary when you think about it. And they still think it's kind of like a magic thing, or that it's going to make them sick and wear scarves when they go into a place with air conditioning on, even though it's 95 out. It blows my mind.
Yes, back to our hating on the Europeans and air conditioning as we get the upper hand right now. No, I mean, we've talked about traveling there. It can be a pain. You can obviously deal with it when you're traveling, and hotels will accommodate you with fans if you need to, if they don't have good air conditioning. But when you're living there and you're dealing with this, and they're not used to, I mean, they're pretty far up north. They're not used to these extreme summers. And yeah, I grew up in Southern California. We didn't have central air conditioning. And where I lived growing up, it would get up to 105 in the summer, and it was brutal. So I did, I lived that way for a while. Here in Nevada, we all have central air, but at least their power bills are less though, Mark, because we're getting killed on power bills. So I don't know if it's all worth it.
Yeah, I guess there's the silver lining right there. But that's why they have the hydration breaks in the World Cup. Normally, there's no break during a game until halftime. But they have it because people aren't used to the heat in the U.S. And I'm like, it's not that hot. Like we're not South America. We're not Africa. Like I was kind of shocked.
I thought they just figured out a way to put commercial breaks during soccer games. I thought that's what that was about.
Nope, it was because they were worried about people like passing out and fainting or not being able to do the heat. And a lot of the games are played in like the northern areas. I understand if they're playing down in Mexico. I'm sure that gets pretty brutal. But if you're up in Canada and stuff, it's fairly mild.
I can remember being a kid. I believe the World Cup was in the U.S. in '92, and they were playing at the Rose Bowl, and it was like 106 down on the field back then. I remember them complaining about how hot it was and all of that. I still think the conspiracy is they invented hydration breaks so they could figure out a way to sell commercials.
Oh, I'm sure. And it was in the Pontiac Silverdome, the old Lions stadium back in '92, and they were playing, and that was like one of the first times they ever heard of like growing grass outside, then bringing it inside of the dome. So that was the best place to play, air conditioned dome, and you had natural turf. But shout out to Michigan State, who's doing the turf for all of the games, which is pretty cool.
And shout out to the Silverdome, the stadium that sat decrepit and abandoned. It's finally been torn down, right?
Yeah, it got torn down a while ago, and now it's like a Amazon facility, I believe, something like that. Some big building is on it, but it just goes to show, like every time one of these stadiums closes, like the old Tiger Stadium sat there, and they got a decent offer early on. Same with the Silverdome, but the city thought it was worth a lot more, So they ended up sitting on it, spending $1 million in maintenance, and then ended up selling each of them for like a couple $100,000. People that run cities are kind of stupid, and they should just just get out from under the cost of maintaining it and sell whatever the first offer is, take it, and they never do.
Maintenance is a lot on those buildings. That is for sure. Lots of cities lost money on different stadiums and stuff like that. But let's talk miles and points, Mark. There's a few stories here, travel, all that sort of stuff, including American Express. Have you ever seen this before? They released two transfer bonuses, Virgin Atlantic and Hilton, and then they pulled them back the next day. Do we know why?
We haven't heard anything officially that I've seen, at least, and I'm assuming that it was supposed to come out like July. Usually they roll out their bonuses at the beginning of the month, like the first or second day of the month, somewhere around then, and they already had a couple bonuses going on. So it did seem kind of weird for them to throw it out there like in the middle of the month. And hopefully it was already baked in, so anybody that did do the transfer got their extra miles. But it's weird to not like post anything like take it away, but you should have like a little asterisk there. Sorry, was not supposed to be a bonus, or do something. It should just take it away and not say anything is kind of random. But watch, I think we're going to see it sometime this week come back up.
Yeah, that would make sense. But then again, like, why not just leave it anyway?
Yeah,
Like, if you did
who
release it
cares?
early, it's not like, yeah, some sort of big deal. But I don't remember them ever doing it before. So I guess it's noteworthy in that way. And you can hold your breath for those transfers to come back.
I
Another
am.
thing to,
I need to get my popcorn from Virgin.
and you need to go to Necker Island. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But American Airlines has some deals. This is part of one of their award sales, and you can get 9,000-mile one ways in the US, of 21,000 to Europe, which is a bit of a discount. On their site, they have a list of like routes that are for sale, but you can search from your home airport. Like, for instance, Las Vegas is on none of the sales stuff, but I was able to find discounts for lots of different airports, Las Vegas to Europe and all around the US. And I don't pay too much attention to like going to the site, what's on sale, but I do always see sale prices when I'm searching for flights. So this is just a reminder, AA, we've said this before, is pretty good, maybe better than anybody else at their different award sales.
Yeah, and I don't even know if this is really a sale. It feels kind of like normal. Maybe it's just on more routes now that you see, but I feel like I've seen to Europe for in the low 20s somewhat frequently. I definitely have seen flights in the US for less than 9K, like sometimes 5K, something like that. But the last couple times when I booked to Bermuda, that was 9K. I just booked to back to the Bahamas for spring break again next year, and that was 9K per person. And so you could get further out than just the US, but I think they're just promoting like, hey, we do have some great rates in American and Alaska on American. Alaska on Alaska sucks, but using Alaska miles for American, those are the two best programs domestically price wise. And it's by a long shot. Like you don't see those kind of rates with anybody else anymore.
Glad to hear you say that, because I just, like I said, I don't pay attention to their sales, but I do notice consistently that you see these lower prices on some routes. Some routes are higher too, so you get the good and the bad. I had been seeing a lot of 30,000 to Europe, so I haven't seen the 21,000 from the West Coast myself. So maybe that is new, but
Well, I don't
always
switch
good.
from the
And
West Coast to Europe, so that could be why.
well, yeah, with some programs like American, usually it is cheaper. But yeah, a lot of times on the sales too, they're going to discount the shorter routes because it makes sense that it costs them less fuel and all that. Even if award programs have typically always priced everything, in an area, right? So America, but there's a big difference between LA and New York.
Yeah, for sure. If you're going to London, like two totally different flights, and totally different costs, I would imagine for them to operate. Maybe they sell them for similar rates, cash wise. But we've been flying American Airlines quite a bit the last year or so. Part of that's because of the status I've had, but a lot of it's just because those have been the best rates. And even with a connection, willing to do it. If you're flying like the same flight, the way back we booked it for 9K. Coming back on the way down, we're in business to the Bahamas, and it was 15K Alaska miles. Like that's just an insanely good deal that I'm finding quite frequently. If you do a little bit of legwork, it's not all that difficult. Starting to look at Japan. Some dates, what I need isn't open yet. It's not far enough into the future to book, but did find some Japan Airlines for 60K in business and 80K in first, like one day a week in May so far. So there's still some sprinkling of that stuff too.
This episode is brought to you by Melio, our affiliate partner, and they definitely still have their great deal. Get a $200 gift card after making a $500 business-to-business payment. Super easy.
Yeah, they switched this up a little bit. They've changed it to a $200 gift card. You should get it the month after your payment, and you'll automatically get that email. You get to select from 400 or more popular brands. I believe like Amazon and Target are included in that. If you have a business, small business, if you get small business credit cards, then that's totally possible for you to sign up for this and then make one of your normal payments, and you get basically 40% off a $500 payment. Hard to beat that.
Scan the QR code, link down in the description. Thanks to Melio, and thanks for signing up and using their service. So let's talk pets, Mark. And this is actually a topic that you don't hear talked about enough.
PetSmart, not PetSmart.
Not PetSmart. We're waiting. If they want to sponsor us, they can do it. But this isn't something people talk about enough. Having pets, what do you do with them when you travel? Benji had an article about this over the last couple of years. He's acquired a few pets, a couple dogs. And, what do you do? And leave it up to Benji to figure out a pay yourself back strategy with Chase for boarding his dog. But I thought this would be a good discussion, not only that article, but, what people are doing. A lot of people veterinarian, but it adds up. This is a true cost. And that's sort of what he's talking about, how he offsets it with pay yourself back, or he's trying to, or cashback cards. But it is an expensive travel that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, and a lot of times it ends up being the most costly thing, especially if you're using miles and points, like more than you spend on the taxes and fees, more than you spend on the hotels, maybe even more than you spend on the ground while you're in country. So it is something to consider. And yes, you can use cash back and or bank bonuses and stuff. It's still technically a cost because once you have that money, you could invest it, you could save it, whatever you want to do. So you are using that money to pay for this, but it is a way to offset those costs without coming out of your normal paycheck or however you want to view it. So that's why we always talk about those types of things. Now, there is another program that a buddy has been using for many years that he really likes. It's called Trusted Housesitters. And if you're okay with someone coming to your house and hanging out there, they do it for free. It's kind of like like a nomad type of person, or maybe they just want to travel a bit more and can't afford to. So they come and take care of your pets and do all of that, and they get to stay in your house for free while you're away. Definitely a bit more unique than just taking them to a boarding area. But if you're looking to save money, definitely look into that program.
Yeah, we know several people who have done trusted house sitters, who have been house sitters, and it's good. A lot of these people are, they're going to take care of your pet, and they're going to get the more personalized attention. But this is a thing that weighs on people's mind too, because a lot of people don't want, it's not even a matter of the cost, which it can be significant, but it's leaving the pets behind. More people traveling than ever. You see that at hotels, which is crazy. And Benji points this out. Like, it's not really relaxing. It's just not the type of trip I want to take, is to bring my dog. It's not something I'm used to or that I want to do. And I don't think it's, right for the dog. But we, had a dog for all these years. Our dog passed a couple of years ago, and we haven't gotten a new one. We're about to get one. So I'm about to go through all of this all over again. And I have to say, it has been nice. I am a huge dog person. I love dogs to death. I want to have a dog. It's been so long, but this is the one thing that's sort of, I've been holding off on, because it is nice to not have to worry about that when you go.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why we haven't gotten one. And my daughter wants one. My son wants a cat, but I think he'd be happy to have a dog as well. And we just, with our lifestyle, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not fair to the dog. And then it's just difficult. We don't have any family that lives nearby. Our friends are quite a bit of ways away. There's nobody that lives within a couple blocks or can easily stop in and check on them. So then you have that added cost, and who knows how well they're being treated there. You have to worry about all those things. It's just too many hoops to jump through. And then we go to the cottage quite a bit. They're not, our HOA doesn't allow dogs on the beach. So there's another thing. If we go down the beach, we can't bring the dog with us, or if we just want to go on a walk down there, there's just so many barriers to entry here. I think we will get one, sadly, after my kids are gone, just because life will slow down a bit, and we'll want that companionship. And then they'll be mad that we didn't do it while they were younger. But that's kind of the decision we've made at this point.
Why I'm losing the battle on the dog, although I want a dog. But my daughter is not going to take no for an answer. So this is all coming up soon, but I'd love to hear what people do for their solutions. How does it work for you? How does it work for your pet? Let us know down below. But let's talk Necker Island. I know this has been a dream of Mark's forever.
No.
Just to go hang out with Richard Branson, play some volleyball, and do the whole Necker Island thing. So, previously, what was it, 1 million points, back in the day when Frequent Miler did it the first time? Now it's upwards of like 2 million points to go for a week there, but it always been a week long chunks. Now you can do it in 3 day chunks with extra nights 250,000, but it's only 750,000 Virgin
Only.
points. Well, with these transfer bonuses, it could be up in the upper 500s. And, I think they go for what, 6, 7,000 a night, something like that. I have never been to Necker Island, Mark. I have been next door, and it is a beautiful area of the world. I will say it's very difficult to get to.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, and that's kind of what we talk about. What's the one in Ecuador or Nicaragua? The Hyatt that everybody's obsessed with because that's an all inclusive that or you could book it with Hyatt points. I think now it's Hilton because it's SLH. But getting there was just such a pain. I'm like, I don't know that anything is really worth that. I'm somebody that gets bored fairly easily, so I think I could. This might be perfect for me. 3 days, maybe I wouldn't get too bored in 3 days, but like a week long just on an island, I don't think I could do that. I'd get restless a bit. So this could be that perfect trade off. But we're talking $5,000 in real money if you're transferring ultimate rewards closer to 6,000. If you're using pay yourself back, even more than that. So that is a steep cost, even if it is a great redemption compared to the cash price. And I think it'd be a really cool experience. But then you're throwing in how much does it take to get down there? Thousands of dollars. So I know you didn't stay on Necker, but you stayed on a even probably more exclusive island with the whole built thing. But would you pay 600,000 points to do that for 3 days?
I mean, it's a good question. I'm not the typical person to do that. I will say I've met a lot of people talked about Richard Branson's islands, and it is a sort of an aspirational thing for a lot of people. So I think that they would get the value out of that in their own life doing it. Mosquito Island, you could argue, is more exclusive or less exclusive, but it's basically in the same place. So I can speak to being in that general area. It's hot as hell. I remember that the time I was there in September, very few things, but it's just kayaking out there. I mean, it's just an incredibly beautiful place and a unique experience. I would not, I hate to say it, but I would not fault anybody who did this for this price. And I think it's great to have the approachable thing. As you said, I think 3 days would be enough for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, 500,000 points if you're taking advantage of a transfer bonus isn't like out of the realm. There's quite a few people listening to this that have that in transferable currencies. And I mean, heck, now with American Express, that's only two sign-up bonuses, a Biz Platinum at 300K and a Biz Gold at 200K. And you're already there if you take advantage of like a 40% transfer bonus. So I do think it's somewhat more in reach than it was even at the lower price before because we have more transfer bonuses than we used to, and we have bigger sign up bonuses than we used to, better multipliers, all those things. So I do think if you are interested in this, that this is the time to take advantage.
And then the next time you're at a cocktail party and somebody's bragging about all the places they've been, say, "Hey, have you been to Richard Branson's private
Oh,
island?" I
D-bag
have.
time. Yeah.
I do it every time, Mark. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, of course, I was there as an invitation of Built. We should say that years and years and years ago, and I wasn't had nothing to do with Richard Branson, and I didn't get to meet him. That is something a lot of people we know, quite a few people in the space who have been there, and the odds of them meeting him are pretty good. Like I feel like most people who go there have met him.
Yeah, and maybe you could ride naked on the back of his jet ski like that one lady.
Well, I think we'll move on at this point. So let's talk skipping airport lounges. And Benji had an article about this. A lot of the same things we're talking about. Airport lounge is more expensive. You have the guest experience is worse, but also you got to pay for kids. The food is, like just, I don't know, it's not good in a lot of cases. People are always saying it's better. And it's funny because he just talks about his recent experience where he ate at the food court inside the terminal. Well, I mean, he's so unsophisticated.
No, I mean it does depend on the airport. Like there's some airports that just the terminal is crap and there's no space, there's nowhere to sit and it's cramped in there. And it can be, just certain gates, like the gate area of the terminal you're in can be like that. And there's other ones that have wide open spaces, tons of seating. You don't have to really worry about it. Like DTW in Detroit, usually there's empty gates and tons of seating, quite a few restaurants, but the lounge there is not great. So even if when I do have access or I wanted to go, I don't. I usually just go sit at like Margaritaville or Outback or something like that, have a beer, spend the money. It's just a better experience overall. So I could see why you would do that. And if you have to pay for kids and things like that because they've cut back access, it's even worse. But My wife's kind of on the other side of things where she likes getting to the airport a couple hours early, really settling in and just kind of hanging out in the lounge. I've grown to not mind that as much, especially on the way home, because it kind of gives you a chance to breathe after all the stress of travel before you get on the flight, and it allows me to catch up on emails and other stuff for work. So we just all kind of sit there, kids get to grab their food and stuff, but so I'll probably miss that when the executive card annual fee comes up and I cancel it from American Airlines because we have been flying them a lot, and that's how we've been getting in because it covers the whole family. So that will be missed a little bit in this one.
Yeah, and I think that that can be undersold because sometimes we get jaded as adults or we're not doing it or we don't want to deal with the hassle of it. But I just think about our flight back from Morocco a couple weeks ago, and we had a 4 a.m. flight. So imagine, getting to the airport. We're not trying to get to the airport super early, and I didn't care at all about going to the lounge, but we did because we were flying business class. And my daughter just has, just so much joy out of getting into that lounge 15 minutes before and getting a little bit of food and getting, a juice or whatever it is. And so that is a part of the experience, and they're growing up with that. And that's something that's cool too, is that that's part of their story, not something I had growing up for sure. So maybe I've outgrown the lounges, but like you say, maybe our families haven't.
It depends on the person. Like, I think we know it well enough that we can just get there and go to the gate, and we're okay with it. And that's especially true when we're flying out of our home airport and we kind of know all the routing and what kind of time frame we need. When I'm flying internationally back home to a place I've never been, then I probably do get there a bit earlier, usually hour and a half, 2 hours before the flight, just because who knows what kind of systems they're going to have in place, what kind of lines you're going to see. Most of the time, you get through pretty quickly, and it's not a problem. Like next time I go to Bermuda, I'm definitely not getting there early because that was the quickest through, and it was U.S. customs, and a couple minutes. So I'm going to get there like 30 minutes before the flight next time. So those are things you learn as you go back to places. And there's other places that you want to get there early, like Frankfurt. I probably would still get early because it's a mess and they suck.
Yeah, and it's funny when you get advice. Like I was looking when we were flying out of Barcelona to Morocco a few weeks ago, and they have all this new entry stuff and exit stuff with the European Union and all that. So I did a quick Google search, and it says, yeah, I show up 3 hours ahead of time. And that didn't seem right to me based on everything. So we still end up going like 2 hours ahead of time, and we went right through. And it's just like everybody was saying there's hour-long waits. And because there could be bad days, and so you never know. To your point, it's better to get through than to get stuck on an international flight. And so in that case, you went to the priority pass lounge. It was fine. And you do win sometimes. They definitely serve their purpose. It's just not that luxury benefit that perhaps it used to be, or maybe it never was.
Yeah, I don't think it ever. I think we all thought it was like champagne and caviar and lobster tail in lounges before it became more accessible, and it was never really like that. I mean, certain lounges, sure, but most of them, no. You're not getting anything that all that special. You're getting like Sam's Club cheese cube trays and things like that dumped into a pan that you scoop from. That's it.
It's like people getting excited for a crappy breakfast buffet at a Marriott or something like that. It's not anything that's particularly special. As you point out, there are international first class lounges. There are lounges where the experience is insane. I've been to the first class lounge in Bangkok where I got a 1 hour massage as part of my first class ticket. I mean, there are incredible places that people should take the time to go to, but that isn't the Amex lounge. That's not the Capital One lounge. And, the spaces are nicer though. I mean, we were going to lounges 10 years ago that didn't look nearly as nice as the ones do today.
Yeah, I think Capital One and Chase have really upped the game a bit. Centurion was the first one to really break through with that, and they've kind of dipped off a little bit. But those lounges look beautiful. I mean, Capital Ones I love. I haven't been in a Chase one yet, but everything I see and everything I hear is they're fantastic. So we're getting a bit of that priority pass. Man, I don't even really want to go into it. Like coming back from Columbia, the priority pass lounge there. Yes, the terminal was tiny and cramped, so I'm glad we weren't like shoved in there like sardines, but the Priority Pass Lounge was pretty rough, and that's usually the case most of the time. The one in Istanbul, one of the Priority Pass lounges was terrible. The other one was very nice. So it just kind of goes with it. But speaking of Bangkok, I don't think there's anywhere our buddy Eric, he says nowhere else in the world does they have that many Priority Pass lounge. There's like 18. They take forever to walk between them. I don't know why the gates there are so stretched out, but it's like this massive long airport. It shouldn't take that long, but you're like 30 minutes in between gates and crap. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think they have moving walkways, do they either? It
No.
is, the walks are insane in that airport, which is what's cool about flying first class is they give you a ride on a golf cart. So, not only so the first class lounge, you have to go through the business class lounge. So they have a private check-in there. They drive you through the business class lounge to the first class lounge. And then after everybody boards the flight, they come and get the first class passengers and they take you on a golf cart from the lounge and then escort you right on the plane where you immediately take off. It's actually very good. And yeah, why should you be on the plane early when you can enjoy your time in the first class lounge? It makes more sense. And they do it right there. But that airport is insane.
Yeah, it took forever. My legs hurt because we tried to lounge out. We hit like 3 different lounges, and we were trying to meet up with somebody that was flying through, and we're like, "Hey, meet us at this lounge," and there was like 3 of them, so they were at the wrong one. I was at a different one. It was just chaos.
All right, Mark. So let's close with this. Your hotel in Miami on the way back from your trip from Colombia, talking a little travel here. We've been trying to catch up on our travels. Where'd you stay and how was it?
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I don't think it's like a great aspirational type of stay, but we stayed at Circa 39, and it was just this little hotel, like 1 block off the beach. It's actually right by the Andaz there, which a lot of people like on Miami Beach. They really love that property. This I didn't know at the time of booking, but this is an IHG hotel. It's got a little pool right on the main drag there. Small rooms, tight. It's probably more of like a 20 something hotel, but you do walk across the street. They have a little beach club there with chairs that you can use and everything. So you get access to the full beach experience, which is cool. And I booked it through Delta Stays with our Business Gold Delta card. $150 covered the entire room rate when this is a Friday night. So that's kind of crazy for Miami Beach. Used mine and then my wife. So we had 2 rooms for the 4 of us. And I was like, oh, all right, it's IHG. Let me just check. During the weekend, sometimes it's like 12, 14,000 IHG points a night. So if you're looking to just like get away, go to Miami midweek, and you want a place to just like drop your bags and go to the beach and enjoy all that is there, this is a really affordable option. So I thought it was worth pointing out. I think on the weekends it goes up to like 30,000 points, something like that, which isn't bad for IHG. So definitely something to consider if you're looking for a budget stay in a warm place.
Yeah, I love the vibe of being down on Miami Beach, staying there. I'm not a huge fan of the city at large. I mean, Miami Beach and Miami are 2 different cities, but not my favorite area of the world. But something about staying down there, the boardwalk, the beaches, it is special and cool. And it does have a very cool, like, 50s, 60s, a lot of these buildings, the Art Deco, all of that sort of stuff. I don't know. There's a whole vibe to that area. And I'm looking at pictures of this. It looks like a nice hotel. And as you said, a great value during some of it. And yeah, I mean, I stayed at the Kimpton a few years ago, and this looks very worthy. So I never had staying at Miami Beach on my bucket list until I did it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did on the way back from Colombia, overnighted there, and it was kind of nice. Like we talk about Singapore being Asia light, like your first stop in Asia, great kind of getting you acclimated to everything. And coming back to the U.S., coming from Colombia, which was hot, we're in Florida, which is still warmer than Michigan. It was a little bit chilly still, not like beach swim weather. So it was cool to just like come. They had White Claws and High Noons and stuff that you couldn't get in Colombia. So we walked down to CVS, got a case of that. Just sat by the pool while the kids swam. Me and my wife and our friends, and just kind of like talked about the trip and kind of just relaxed and really, had a little break before we went home, which was cool.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Miami Beach, what's your preferred hotel down there? The AA awards sale, canceling the transfer bonuses. What do you do with your pets while traveling? And do you hate lounges like us? I think we've killed that topic at this point, Mark. We really do hate lounges, apparently. But leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, and we will be back on Thursday with another show talking miles and points news, all of that sort of stuff. We do 3 shows a week on Vegas as well. Check us out over there. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelt.